Bear Element, Episode 13, recorded 10 November 2012.
It's episode Lucky 13.
Lucky 13.
Wow. And you had me on that.
Anyone have triskaidekaphobia?
Wow, that's a big word.
Mm-hmm. Fear of the number 13, triskaidekaphobia?
Can you cure that with an antibiotic? Or?
Maybe the number 12, not sure.
This episode is brought to you by the number 13. 13.
Wait, what's the vampire?
Elements.
What's the vampire from Sesame Street?
The Count.
A one, a two.
Count 13 bears.
That's awesome.
What do you think, Scarlett? What do you think?
There you go.
That's enough from you. Go lay down.
All right. Obviously, Scarlett's back today, and we have we're missing Tim. We're not sure what he's up to today, but probably bike riding, getting ready for the AIDS ride, I would assume.
It's a great day for it. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful here in San Francisco in the Castro.
It's also the Red Bull
Flute dog.
Flute dog. And that voice is our special guest today, Richard DiscoPup Dupler.
Howdy.
He's the inventor of the Dupler effect, right?
I have actually known Richard. This is Vito. By the way, introduce ourselves.
Hey, this is Wolfie.
This is Clay.
Go, Richard.
Oh, hi. This is Richard.
For 16, 17 years now.
At least. No, it's got to be. No, it has to be longer than that because I knew you when I lived in L.A. And I've lived in San Francisco or the Bay Area for 15 years. So we're talking almost 2 decades.
Oh boy, I needed to know that. Yes, I met him when I first came out and had a great time in L.A. and discovered the bears.
That's a whole other episode.
Anyway, so Richard, you are quite prolific in quite a few different areas here. You've got some Facebook pages that are dedicated to your music. You also have music to do with. I know you feel very happy about your job.
Oh yes.
It has some perks.
Yeah. So I became fully employed for the first time in almost a decade last year, and I work for Titan Media, which is a pornography, adult gay male porn company.
This is Clay clutching his pearls.
Yes.
I agree to the explicit iTunes, but I had no idea. Please continue.
So I started out as an editor, went to full-time editing. Now I'm splitting time between editing and production. So I'm not only am I editing the movies, I'm helping to make them as well.
So you get to be on set.
I get to be on set. In my first day on set, this is a funny story. The 2 actors were Hunter Marks and Jesse Ayres. Google them; you'll find lots of hot pictures of both of them. We were taking a break. We're using water-based lube, and water-based lube, when it heats up, tends to get Santorini.
There's a visual.
So I was asked by the director to take a paper towel and go wipe Hunter's butt. And as I muttered under my breath, I said, well, I guess I'm putting that in my job description. And the director says, that's not a duty, it's a perk.
Wow. Oh my goodness. But behind the scenes, you do the music. So you actually watch the movie and create the music while it's happening?
Sometimes. I don't do music for all the movies. I've done music for Incubus and Incubus 2, which was a Francois Sagat movie. And I am currently working on music for a feature that's going to come out in December called Strobe, which takes place in a nightclub. So the entire score has to be all dance music, and we don't own any rights, and we can't afford the rights to popular dance music, so I'm having to compose it all.
Wow.
And mix it, and beat mix it, and it's a process.
And then you get your name in the credits too, right?
3 times.
Woohoo!
Under 3 different pseudonyms.
Oh my! Well, not anymore.
What's your pseudonym for your butt wipe position?
that would be production assistant David Richards.
Wow.
I edit under the name TP Doe. It's DEAUX, and the music is under DiscoPup.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, where did DiscoPup come from?
2004, I went to Burning Man for the first time. Camped with a group called Astropups. It's a tradition among burners to be given a nickname that relates only to the playa. We're at Burning Man. That's the name you go by when you're at Burning Man. We had a DJ in the group, but he forgot his music. So I said, well, let's just plug in my iPod and we'll have music for the entire week. And I got the name Disco that way.
There you go. And you've kept it.
Yeah, it fits. So
outside of the playa.
Right. I even have a disco ball tattooed on my back.
Oh, wow. Well, maybe we'll take a picture of that if it'll let us see the disco ball.
Shiny disco ball.
Have you ever seen more than 15 minutes of it in a row at one sitting?
Well, the shoots tend to take 4 to 6 hours.
Oh.
And the editing the scenes tends to take sometimes as much as 3 days to edit a single scene.
Wow.
And then after that, you got to go through and do what we call audio scrubbing, which is going through and taking out all the director's voices and extraneous noises and replacing them with other things.
Like I do when I edit this podcast.
And then you go and and then after that you go back and put music on it. So
and put
harder.
Oh yeah,
harder. My left.
There have been a couple times when the audio wasn't really good, and I've had to go to another movie, pull audio from that, and plunk it down on a completely different scene.
Oh, that's hysterical.
Wow. Well, one thing that gets me, this is Vito, about porn actors is I think they tend to be shorter.
Yes, we have an exclusive with the studio named Jesse Jackman, who is 6'2", 230 pounds, and it's all in his pecs and shoulders. And he's a stunning man. For the most part, the guys tend to be shorter. Like Francois Sagat's only about 5'6". And someone once asked me, can I say dick?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we have an explicit
tag. So
someone asked me.
Fuck. Sorry.
I saw
Tourette's.
I saw someone on Facebook ask, why are porn stars always so short? Is it to make their dicks look bigger? And I said, no, the dicks are actually that big. They're just on shorter guys.
Well, if the camera adds 20 pounds, how many inches does it add?
We can't do anything about that. We've tried.
I thought the internet added inches.
Yes, it does.
Well, the user's putting it in their profile.
Yeah.
I actually met a guy in Palm Springs, what a shock, who showed me his and the 2 scars on both sides. You know how we have the chambers in the penis?
Okay, yeah.
That fill up with the blood, where they actually had to drill holes to release the blood.
Ooh.
In his wiener.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
so you have to be careful with that.
So they're responsible. Does that mean they bring their own fluffers, or is that a perk of the production assistants?
No. Fluffing went away with the 70s. They are responsible for anything they need to keep a hard on.
So it's completely taken off of the studio.
Correct. There was I'm on a shoot. This was earlier this year. The 2 guys are professionals. They've been in the industry for quite a while. They look great together. They happen to be friends outside the studio. In between takes, they would each pick up their iPhones and put on porn and jack off to keep the hard on. And it's like, I'm standing here and in my head, I'm kind of freaking out, going, all right, I'm having sex with this really hot guy, but I'm just not into him. So I'm going to watch this porn and try to keep it hard on. And it just completely blew my mind. But that's just how the scene. These guys are performers, and sometimes the scene that they're in with the person they're with doesn't turn them on. So,
Well, plus everybody watching, and that way they have a focus. They can focus on something else. Their mind, while all that stuff's going on around them.
Well, we're a small crew, so it's not like there's a huge number of people standing around watching them have sex. There's only 3 of us plus the 2 guys. So,
I guess everybody's different. Another thing that intrigued me was I saw you on the BART, and you mentioned something about doing some location scouting. So is that something you do too, or is that?
Yeah, it's part of my job to find locations because we don't actually have a studio any longer. But we were moving toward doing more location-based shooting anyway, because the studio, since we started shooting in HD, and we can't really afford, to have carpenters come in and build nice sets and and all that stuff. So the stuff that we were building was looking cheesy and cheap. So it was just more economically, more realistically viable to just, you want to shoot in a bedroom? Let's go to someone's bedroom and shoot in a bedroom.
And probably, overall, it's probably cheaper for the production, because then you don't have the overhead. You can just have that as part of the budget of the movie.
Right. We would just rent the space on with a set daily rate. We shot the nightclub feature that I'm strobe in a nightclub, so that we had the lights and the smoke, and we actually even put out a casting call out to have extras come in and dance while we played some music. So we had some B-roll of the party actually going on.
Because it's an art.
So people can say, I'm in a porn.
Yeah, I'm in a movie.
B-roll.
B-roll is important. I'm a stickler for it, actually, because, again, we just shot a scene where it opens with this guy, hands tied, and he's hanging from a hoist, chains and the whole business. And I turned to the director and said, well, this is nice, but how did he get here? He goes, what do you mean? I said, well, we got to film something about him getting snatched off the street or something. How did he get? Oh, no, we're just going to start. I said, no, that just doesn't make any sense. You can't fade up and then have this guy hanging there. No, that doesn't make it. And then sex ensues.
Yes, you can.
Vito, speaking from experience.
You're right. It doesn't make any sense. But it matters what kind of film you're going to make.
Well, that's the other thing. We haven't
scene based, or is it a film with a plot semi?
Yeah, we're actually kind of straddling that line where we have films that are just scene based. 3 scenes, slap it on a DVD and send it out. Strobe has has a kind of a storyline. And yes, it's just 3 scenes, but it all happens around a central thing. Incubus was completely different, and it's unlike any porn film that anyone has ever seen before or since. It's probably the last of its kind.
Did it get any awards? Or was up for awards?
The award cycles in porn industry are kind of weird. This year we got nominated 3 times for movies that came out 2 years ago. I don't know if it. I would be surprised if Incubus did not come up for any awards when its time comes.
At its next cycle?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. What an interesting thing. I'm glad you're happy.
Oh, I'm ecstatic. I love working there. The guys I work with, Paul and Jason in production, and James and Kavai in editing. They're great. They're really good people.
Oh, don't forget to save some names for your Backscratches. Backscratches are people you want to thank at the end of the podcast.
Okay.
We forgot to tell you about that.
Okay.
All right.
Well, you mentioned Santorum in your job, which makes me think of politics. What did you think of this whole erection cycle that we just finished here? I mean, election.
Yeah.
Cycle.
It was funny. Tuesday, I typically get off work around 5:30, and polls on the East Coast had already started closing. And I'm on Facebook, and my friends on Facebook were like near apoplectic about how close the electoral vote numbers were, and exit polling was showing this and that, and people were just basically, typing in all caps on their Facebook profiles and running around with their hair on fire. I got home. I just was really, really calm, because I was like, we got it. It's in the bag. I didn't know how well it was going to be in the bag. I'm actually surprised that it's up to 330 electoral votes now.
Yeah, I was actually so scared I couldn't eat and nervous I couldn't eat. That's a big deal for me.
I was just not nervous at all. I compared it to a friend of mine. I compared it to the World Series 2 weeks ago. I was more nervous during the playoffs, being an avid Giants fan, than I was in the World Series. Once they got to the World Series, I was like, oh, they got it in the bag. I thought it was going to go 5 games, and I didn't think they were going to sweep. But
yeah, that was crazy.
But again, back to the election Tuesday, it was just a matter of networks calling it. I said, said to a friend of mine, I said, this is going to be over by 10, and it was over by 8:30.
Yeah, I mean that was the thing that was so amazing is people were so freaked out about how close it was, and they're talking about this. We might not know until tomorrow or later this week.
That's what I thought it was going to be.
And it turned out that way for Florida, but for the rest of the country, it was boom to boom to boom, and it was done. I just remember when they called it, I felt so relieved, and I just burst into tears because I was so afraid of what this country would morph into if we'd gone the other way. And we have a lot of healing to do. I mean, it shows that we're a very divided country.
No, still, I have some conservative people, old friends on my Facebook, and they are not happy. They are not happy. Anyway, the election night, I was so nervous I couldn't eat. I went to a party. We had some wine, and one of the guys was just into his computer, and then I was having him, change over to CNBC. Okay, I love the coverage on ABC, because I love the coverage on ABC.
They built oh my God, what a train wreck that was.
Yeah, I heard about that.
They built the whole set and everything. George Stephanopoulos. I love George Stephanopoulos.
I've seen him naked.
Oh, my goodness. So it was going back and forth, and then we were all perplexed. Like, one would call a state and one wouldn't. Like, what was it? Rachel Maddow seemed to be a little more conservative, actually, in picking winners. Yeah. Because I think one of the stations, I think it was CNN 4 years ago, called the ball a little too fast.
Oh, yeah.
And got kind of burned. So they were quite conservative this time around.
But even this time, they were calling states with only 49% of precincts reporting, and they explained a couple days later that of those 49%, those were the contested precincts. The rest of them were a slam dunk, and that's why they were able to do it. It wasn't
that makes sense.
Just a random 49%. They were looking at which precincts had been called, the ones that were in question. The rest of them, they were pretty sure were going to go the way they went. So
that makes more sense now.
There's apparently a lot of science to that.
Right. They have to, I was explaining it to someone that it's a prediction. They predict, and it's mathematical. And this year, and like I said, we were going channel to channel. It was really interesting to see who called what state when, and then, when they actually called it for Obama, and that some of them weren't. And then, going back to Fox just to see what was going through their mind.
Fox was calling states for Obama before some of the other networks were. I remember watching that. The talking heads on Fox were so in disbelief that they went down to where the bean counters were, who were keeping track of everything, and they're like, okay, just tell us that this is not Ohio. I mean, Ohio will go for Romney. They're like, no, it's going to go for Obama because these counties, which haven't been counted yet, generally lean Democratic. If they lean Democratic and they vote the way that they say they're going to vote, then it's pretty much a slam dunk that Ohio is for Obama. Deal.
Wow, crazy.
In the end, Obama didn't really need Ohio. So
No, but I've been watching this. I talked about it on an earlier podcast, this website with the electoral votes on it. And it was starting to swing towards Romney. It wasn't right, the prediction.
Well, and they said that in the end, Romney carried less Mormon vote than Bush did.
Wow, that's very
interesting.
Very interesting.
We can talk about my podcast.
Okay, all right, let's do that.
We can just, we don't.
How did we forget that?
I don't know.
Do you have a podcast?
We weren't even aware that you had a podcast.
I gave you the link.
Back in 2003, I started a podcast. It wasn't really a podcast. It was basically the CD version of doing a mixtape, and I was doing these dance mixes and burning them to CD and sending them out to friends. And then I was like, oh, I can do this all digital, and then I don't have to burn CDs anymore. And then after 105 podcasts, I decided to just switch it up and change names, and I came up and was like, since I'm going by the name DiscoPup anyway, I may as well call it Discopolis. It's different from the previous one in that it's less pop-oriented. Not as many artists that you're going to know, and I say that knowing full well in the first episode, Cyndi Lauper, Prince, and George Michael are in it. But on the second and third podcast, you'd be hard-pressed to find a name that you recognize.
Well, the name reminded me of the Going to the Top, Videopolis. Remember that?
Yes. Well, in the second one, you have Sylvester.
Yes.
Do You Want to Funk? So
Yeah,
that's good.
it was the second one was just as deep a house music as I could find, and this is a 2012 remix of that classic Sylvester track that was just really had a really nice hard driving bass line that I fell in love with.
We've actually had quite a few people on the podcast that are very music oriented.
Yeah.
I just go along for the ride. This town is incredible with how many dances and DJs and music events.
Every muscle bear you know is a DJ.
Well, I'm just looking forward to when we get the nod that there's a whole Discopolis Bear Element mix. You know, he's so inspired. You know, the Scarlet Dreams. She's not actually snoring, but she usually by this point she's snoring.
Well, I'm always looking out for suggestions. You know, I post to my page, the Discopolis page on Facebook all the time. And it's like, all right, guys, what do you want to hear? You know, tell me. And, you know, what's next? Because otherwise it's just me basically whacking off musically. You know, this is what I like, and you're going to listen to it. You know, so.
People seem to be okay with that.
Musical masturbation of Richard Dupler. Track 1.
Next on BBC One.
Baka waka chow wow. Who holds the patent for that too? But the baka waka chow wow.
Oh, I don't know. I actually threatened to throw some of the Waka Chica guitar stuff on the Strobe soundtrack, and I was immediately smacked down. Yep.
Yeah, you don't want to have to pay royalties when you do that, right?
No, because I'm composing everything myself.
Yeah.
I don't get paid extra for it, but you know, there you go. Even though most of the time I do the music at home, because when I'm composing at home, I tend to hum, and I'm very self-conscious about that. So.
Well, cool.
Yeah, well, we'll have links to both your Facebook page and your other page up here.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely like his page on Facebook. Speaking of likes, we're getting close to 600 likes on our Facebook page.
Wow.
Nice.
I know. So I definitely want to thank all the people that have done that. And I want to encourage people to...
As of this morning, we're 602.
No way.
Ooh,
Yeah.
celebration.
We definitely want to encourage people to leave comments. You know, say, whatever you want to say on the iTunes, especially,
Here, let me leave
and on
one right now.
Facebook.
Stop being mean to Wolfie.
There you go.
Vito.
Damn it.
Did you get into doing sound work for a porn studio or just sound work in general?
The sound came about just having been at Titan for a few months, just doing the editing.
Mm-hmm.
The editing, I've been doing that since year 2000, when my husband and I went to Italy, and it was our second trip. And the first trip we'd taken hundreds and hundreds of photographs and lugging around these 5-pound photo albums, and you know how boring that can be when your friends want to show you slides from their trip around the world, and you're like, and this is when Martha pet the elephant, but
I'm not familiar with that code. What is that code
that's
for?
not code for anything. That's not code for anything. So I bought a video camera, and it was like instead of boring my friends with just photo albums and stories, why not just cut together a movie of the vacation, set it to music, and just let it play. And I ended up with a 2-hour music video based on our 3 weeks in Italy.
Oh.
But I took it an extra step because I always do take it an extra step, and I wrote out narration so that I wouldn't have to explain things that were on the screen to people all the time. So I wrote out narration, sent it to one of my friends in Italy, had him translated into Italian. He sent the translation to another friend of mine in Italy who's a radio DJ. He recorded the narration, and then I put it in the movie. So I had and with captions. So yeah.
Whoa.
Nice.
So it's Italian and then with an English caption?
Yeah.
Molto bene.
That keeps you in the mood, doesn't it?
That's how I got into editing. And then I started doing freelance work. I've done work for the San Francisco AIDS Foundation, AIDS Life Cycle, Stop AIDS Project. And then I started doing work in front of the camera for Cyber Bears and bear films. Got tired of performing and wanted to edit. So that's how I got into editing.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I was in a store. And I saw Richard. Oh, I didn't know Richard did that. Anyway. But that's happened to me quite a few times.
My first scene for Bear Films was a solo scene, just me and a dildo attached to a power drill, and
we're going to need a medic for Wolfie. I think he just.
I was writing something down. He noticed that. I'm like, what?
And we'll have the link to that on the website.
Chow wow.
And I asked the director if I mean, it's a solo shoot, and I asked the director if he'd let me edit it, and he goes, "No, because I know you would edit yourself out of it." I would find a way.
How do you do yourself with a power drill? I'm just trying to imagine it.
It was pretty intense.
I'm reminded of that movie Top Secret all of a sudden.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. It took. What did he say? It took our best surgeons 3 hours, but they still could not wipe the smile off his face.
Ay, ay, ay. So what does your mom think of your career path?
My mother passed away last summer, and the rest of my family does not know.
Oh, but your mom did know.
No, although I think my brother knows, because I post pretty openly about it on Twitter, and he follows me on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
So I'm sure he knows. I don't know if he's told my dad or not. I don't. At this point, I'm 46. I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I came from a very conservative religious family that has suddenly discovered drinking and gambling. So I don't know what.
2 out of 3.
No sex.
So,
Well, on that note, I think Wolfie needs some private time, so we'll take a break, perhaps an extended break.
Where are the keys to the restroom?
Right over there, Wolfie.
Okay.
You're excused from the table.
Thank you.
There you go.
All right, well, this is Clay signing off for our Bear Radio listeners. This is our first half hour, bearradio.net.
Yep.
Woo!
The rest, this will just be a pause. It'll be a break.
A break. And we're back. Hello, this is Clay.
This is Vito.
This is Wolfie.
Who's that?
oh,
Who dat?
is this Richard?
Hi, Richard.
And then Scarlett is now running around underneath the table. Excuse me for a second. Scarlett.
And this is the second half of episode 13 of the Bear Element podcast. And we assume Tim is training for the AIDS life cycle, right?
Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's a busy man.
Yes, indeed.
He's a busy man. So we're sorry he couldn't make it. Well, we're recording on Saturday because I couldn't make it. I messed up my calendar. I went to see Lion King.
How was that?
That was fantastic.
Was it your first time seeing it?
Yeah.
I've seen it twice. It never gets old.
It was pretty
On
cool.
the stage? You like the stage version? I saw the stage version in L.A.
Yeah. It was. I was really impressed. I was very happy with it.
Wasn't that one of the first ones where they did the people dressed up in the outfits, but you can see their face, and they're the giraffes. They're part of the whole giraffe costume, and
Yeah, I think they pretty much pioneered that.
yeah,
Well,
I think so.
It's based on a. If you read anything about the director, it's based on an ancient Asian puppetry theatrical style. So
Well, that makes sense because they use little shadow puppets at times, and so that I can see where they drew from that. That's pretty cool. And then Avenue Q used the same sort of thing, but more of a Muppet style. But you get to see the humans.
Right, and then the horse. What's the horse one? It was very popular.
Warhorse.
Warhorse.
Yeah, it uses kind of the similar.
And I heard that's even more phenomenal. Well, it gave me some ideas about Halloween maybe for next year.
Oh, that's a little too complicated. I like simple Halloween costumes.
Well, what were you did you dress up for Halloween this year?
I did. But like I said, I like simple Halloween costumes, no makeup, anything like that. What I did was I got a T-shirt, and it was a bear pirate, and I cut out the eye portion, and then I used my iPhone. I found this app with this crazy, creepy eye, like a real eye, and the app and then I taped it on the inside of the T-shirt.
That's crazy.
So I think I may have a picture of it. If I do, I'll put it up.
You should, yeah.
But it was a big hit. It was a big hit. I was just wearing shorts and a T-shirt and that crazy eye coming out of the T-shirt.
Did you wear that to work?
I did. I wore it to work, too. I didn't win the costume contest, but I did win the decorated cubicle contest.
Ah.
Yeah, it was awesome. $10 from Starbucks, baby.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How much did it cost you to win that $10 gift card?
$20.
I betcha.
From the 99 cents only store.
Oh, my God. That reminds me of the one time our cubicle sabotage when people went on vacation escalated to the point where someone came back and we had wrapped everything in their cube in newspaper. Even all the pictures and everything, and we cut out parts of the newspaper, like the pictures, and then we closed off the cubicle and filled it with just crumpled up newspaper all the way to the top.
Oh my God, how fun.
Craziness. What about you, Wolfie? Do you participate in Halloween costuming?
A little bit. This year I kind of went lax. I just did my Folsom get-up, which was very Celtic, I'll say. Previous year I did go all out. I went as a werewolf, of all things.
It sounds hot and makeup-y.
It was quite hot. My hair was just a mess afterward. But it was a lot of good fun, so I enjoyed that. Maybe next year I'll try and do something a little bit more elaborate.
Cool. What about our guest, Mr. Richard?
Well, I don't want to be Debbie Downer on all this, but I haven't dressed up for Halloween since I was in my 20s, easily.
That's a long boycott.
And it's just not something I've ever gotten into. And we were going to discuss candy, but I don't have a sweet tooth to speak of. So candy's never really been that much of an interest to me.
Who are you?
And additionally, last Halloween, 2011, I was assaulted on my way home from a party. And I have the scar to prove it.
Oh my
gosh.
Wow.
Yeah. So
you associate Halloween with that incident?
No, not really. I just prefer to stay home with my dog.
Wow.
You could always go as a football player, complete with helmet.
But then it covers up the scar.
I can remember.
Great makeup job on the scar, dude.
Yeah. When I got my disco ball tattoo, the tattoo artist threatened to tattoo eyes above the scar because it's kind of a smile up here.
A grimace.
Yeah.
Wow.
Was that here in San Francisco?
Civic Center.
Civic Center. Well, I'm shocked.
It was a huge crowd, and next thing I knew, I woke up in an ambulance with a cute EMT.
There's pros and cons to everything.
Well,
Silver lining.
it's crazy. I mean, for me, on the other hand, Les, while you were in the ambulance, Bill and I were celebrating our first anniversary of living together because I moved in Halloween of 2010, the day before the Giants won the World Series the first time.
Oh, wow.
And then we had dinner. And then this year was really romantic. We got takeout, turned off the front porch lights so no kids would come downstairs, and watch TV. Yeah.
That's hot.
2-year anniversary. What'd you do? Takeout and TV? It's hot.
Yeah, we did. I cooked, but we have a gated driveway because of the dog. And if we leave the gate closed, then the kids don't bug us. But but a couple years ago, I did decorate the driveway, put up lights, little blinky pumpkin lights, and rented a skeleton and put them on the porch.
Wow. You're so crazy.
Yeah.
A lot of gay men, I find a lot of gay men love Halloween. Make it their most favorite.
Yeah, it's the annual gay holiday. So
yeah.
It's the gayest holiday of all. So.
And I have a tradition of doing, no matter what my situation is, no matter where I am, I don't care, I carve a pumpkin.
Oh, okay.
Every time, every year.
And then what? You just sit and stare at it, or do you actually put it out somewhere?
I put it out. I put a candle in it. I put lights in it before. But my favorite thing is to make the pumpkin seeds. A little salt on them, a little oil, bake them, and I just love. And I eat them whole. And I find that a lot of people don't do that. A lot of people, use like sunflower seeds and pop the seeds. I don't. I eat them whole.
Really? People do that with pumpkin seeds?
I do.
I know I always ate them whole.
You eat them whole?
Yeah, I didn't know there was anything inside there that was worth shelling.
Yeah, they're like a regular seed. They're like a sunflower seed, and you pop them and pop the little seed in your mouth.
Sounds like too much work.
Yeah, I know, and they're so good. I like them nice and crispy.
Really, I'm lazy, but I'll tell you it's for the fiber.
There you go.
Well, so this this Halloween, we also were still in the afterglow of the Giants winning their second World Series in 3 years. Someone here has some opinions about who's the cutest Giant of them all.
Well, my husband is very enamored with Angel Pagan.
Angel Pagan.
Or, as we like to call him, Angel Pagan.
Yes. Mr. Serious.
Paulo Sandoval is very popular amongst the bear crowd, I understand. And of course, there's Brian Wilson, but he was not a factor in this year. I happen to have a soft spot for Marco Scudero, only because he's always kind of scruffy and he has the dimpled chin, which drives me up the wall.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Have you seen the picture where Romo's kissing him?
Yes.
I saw the video where he kissed him, but then there's a photograph that they captured with the look of surprise on Marco's face. It's just hysterical. Oh, gosh.
And then there's Brian Crawford, who plays shortstop. My partner, I have nicknamed him Wolverine or Sabretooth. No, Sabretooth, because he looks like Leif Schreiber from the Wolverine.
Oh, right.
So I can see that, yeah.
Well, I've got to put all these pictures on the website because honestly, I haven't seen any of these guys.
And on my personal Facebook page, I have an actual photo album of that I call Opposing Team Hotties. So throughout the season, because if I'm not at the game, I'm watching the game on TV. I'm watching the opposing team to see if they have any cuties on, and then I was like, oh my God, who's that? Okay, go to Google, image search. Yeah, he's hot. And then put him right on Facebook. Yeah, tonight's starting pitcher is a hottie.
Well, cool. I can't wait. But I know, because I work in the financial district, the vendors just pop up out of nowhere with tables, and they're selling these T-shirts with panda. I mean, panda.
He's pretty amazing.
Pandemonium. So he did some amazing things, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Very flexible for a big guy.
Yeah, he got the nickname Kung Fu Panda because he made a play his rookie year where he literally flew through the air horizontally to catch a ball that was going into foul territory, but it was down third base line. Literally flew across just launched himself, caught the ball, and they played it in slow motion. And one of the Giants bullpen pitchers says, "Wow, that's like Kung Fu Panda," because that had just come out with the Jack Black and when he's flying across in slow mo, and
apparently it stuck.
It did, and so everybody calls him the Panda.
Cool.
That's great.
Well, I'll definitely put a picture of the panda there.
Excellent.
Which panda?
The player.
One of the many Venezuelans in Major League Baseball right now. I guess 20% of the Giants roster is from Venezuela.
Well, Venezuela was exploding because there's a lot of Venezuelans on the Detroit team as well. So Venezuelan fans were hoping for a Detroit Giants World Series just so they could root on their countrymen.
Is this was Fernando Valenzuela from there? From L.A.? Remember that picture from L.A.?
If he was a Dodger, I don't know who he is.
That and you're dating yourself.
Yes, I know.
You can
Fernando Valenzuela.
You can Google that.
Okay, I don't know. Never mind. Obviously, I don't know anything about sports.
So we have a would you rather question that's very topical, and we'll start with our guest. Would you rather survive an earthquake or a superstorm?
Wait a second. We have to play the new theme we have that Jeff Glover recorded for us.
It's time for this or that.
Okay.
There you go. Thank you, Jeff, for that.
Thank you, Jeff.
Okay. Now ask the question.
Or would you rather theme?
Wow, Jeff, that was really cool.
This or that.
Well, I grew up in southern Louisiana, so I've lived through hurricanes. And I've been in the Bay Area I was in LA, so I've experienced earthquakes as well. Hurricanes you can prepare for. Sometimes you can't prepare for their ferocity, once they make landfall, but you have plenty of warning.
Right.
Earthquakes are you have no warning. They just suddenly they're happening and you're running around like a head with your chicken cut off, and then they're over.
I like you because that's something I would say. Run around with like a head with your chicken cut off. A baby ate my dingo. What?
No, it did.
But no, I agree with you. I don't know what your preference is, but I always tell people in the Midwest we don't terrorize ourselves with earthquake, or we don't have earthquake watches and earthquake warnings. We don't have to worry about the difference between a watch and a warning, which one's worse. Shit just happens, and you deal with it.
Now, before we started, you guys were running through all of the names of the storms that you've been through.
Yeah, Betsy, Camille, Carmen, and that's just grade school. I don't know. After that, I remember going to Orlando in '97.
We should start naming earthquakes.
I know. Well, that's what I was thinking that too. But they do get names so just after the fact. But because you can't plan for them.
Yeah, but they're Loma Prieta. It's not like Earthquake Orlando, Earthquake Fernando.
So we were in Orlando '98 to visit our friend Dave Cobb when he and Jason lived there.
Well, I think I was with you.
And we were spending a week doing the theme parks. He was doing
the Men in Black ride.
Men in Black ride,
Yeah.
right? Bear Pride also happened to be going on.
Yes. Oh, what a great time.
And then that hurricane blew through.
Yeah.
And we were all standing out in the back lot behind, what is it, the Blue Moon bar? Is that
Yeah.
And it started pouring rain and nobody moved. They just stood there in the rain and drank their becoming watered down beer. It was
Because most of the people were from the South, like Atlanta, so it was like no big deal for them.
No,
we're freaking out.
I wasn't. I was like, yay, thunderstorm.
I was like, and then I went to Cape Canaveral and it was raining really hard.
Because we don't get thunderstorms here in San Francisco. We get rain and we get what I call lazy fog. But we don't get the thunderstorms very often.
No, I guess there was one the other night though.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It got some transformers.
Yeah,
I totally slept through it.
I would have slept through it too, but Miss Scarlett over here lost her shit, was barking like crazy, and then Bill got up and he had seen the lightning because I guess he's a light sleeper. I didn't hear the thunder. I didn't see the lightning, and I was on the couch in front of the picture window. I'd fallen asleep watching TV, and then all of a sudden, what we thought was rain was real heavy rain, and then Bill looked outside and it was hail all up and down the stairs. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. We get that like once in a blue moon here.
Mm-hmm.
I must have missed that one completely because I never heard of it.
Yeah, I was out like a light. I've never been through a super huge earthquake, but the ones that I've been through, I go into Boy Scout mode. And it's like, okay, well, what do we need to do? And just start going.
My very first earthquake was in L.A., and I was living in a condo.
You're talking about the Northridge, the big...
No. I moved to L.A. after that. This is minor.
Okay.
I was living with my then boyfriend and watching the morning shows before going to work, and I hear this, and I was like, what did they drop up there? The neighbors upstairs. And my boyfriend comes running out and he goes, you just experienced your first earthquake. I'm like, nah, that's not what it feels like. Where's the shaking? I wanted some shaking. And it wasn't until I moved up to San Francisco that I actually understood what they meant when they mean rolling motion, because my desk chair at home is on casters and we have hardwood floors, and I literally moved 2 feet across the floor, as the chandelier shook. And
I was driving one year when I was going to Cal Poly Pomona, and there was a big earthquake, and the car shook, the rubber while I was driving, the tires moved. And then I looked to the left, and I saw fireplaces start dropping, and it was very heavy in Orange County, and the transformers burst, and I looked outside, and even though I really couldn't see that well, the water in the pool was sloshing like it was just a bowl, and the water was coming out the sides of and so that was in Orange County. And then what happened in Northridge was incredible. Freeways fell, buildings started falling. It was crazy.
My parents had just retired, and they were trying to decide if they were going to buy a house or rent, and so they were staying in this retirement trailer park in northern San Diego County. My mom kept kicking my dad, stop shaking the bed during the Northridge earthquake. He's like, what are you talking about? You're shaking the bed. And then it got heavier, and the whole thing started making noise. He's like, God damn it, I get blamed for everything. Son of a bitch, you fucking earthquake, and you're kicking me.
Yeah, but in New Orleans, hurricanes are just an excuse to party. Everybody heads to the corner, orders hurricanes, drinks too many of them.
Oh.
I was at Keesler Air Force Base when I was in the military and training, and the hurricane passed by. It didn't really come through, but they, because I was in training to be a radio operator, they threatened to put a backpack radio on me to go out and survey damage. I'm like, thanks, guys. But it didn't, it didn't come to that. It wasn't that bad of a deal.
Oh, wow.
Lucky me.
I have a very early memory of going out. The eye of this hurricane was passing directly over New Orleans, and going outside, our street was flooded, and it was me and one of my uncles, and you could see the walls of clouds surrounding you. Sun streaming down, but around the
Really? You could actually see the eye itself?
yeah.
Wow.
Well, because the eye is like the blank spot.
Yeah, yeah.
And so when it passes over, everything gets suddenly very calm, but you can hear it. You hear the wind, but you don't feel it. And you hear the rain, but it's not raining. And it's just, there's this wall of cloud surrounding it. It's really very bizarre.
Because you hear about the eyes all the time, but to actually be in the eye and be able to look up and see that you're in the eye,
Yeah.
oh, that's neat.
Sadly, the only time that I've been in an eye of the storm, it was at nighttime, and I believe I was asleep. This was during Hurricane Fran in North Carolina, which did quite a bit of damage to Raleigh-Durham and Wilmington, North Carolina as well.
Well, and isn't it true that the winds are more ferocious on the inside? They're going faster, so you have all that terror of the wall going over your head, and then you're in the eye, it's nice and calm, and then the other side's coming at you, and that's going to be really ferocious too.
Generally, depending on the orientation of landfall or what have you, it also the wind speed also picks up over water. If you think of it as a hurricane as a clock, you generally get more higher winds and heavier rain around the 3 to 5 o'clock part of the hurricane.
In the northern hemisphere, I believe it goes clockwise or counterclockwise.
I do remember we had aftershocks of an earthquake, the Eureka earthquakes, one night when I was in bed with a guy I just met, and so that was our running joke. And the earth moved, and the earth moved.
Oh, yeah, you're still with him, right?
Oh, no. All right. Well, any other earthquake or hurricane or superstorm personal stories to chit-chat about?
No, but thoughts and prayers go out to the people of New Jersey and New York.
Oh, right, absolutely.
And Staten Island, there's still
people without power.
Still people without power. It's snowing.
They're getting pissed off.
Oh, yeah. Especially on Long Island, because I guess they went through this last year with Irene, and then there was all these investigations, and the state came in and said, look, your disaster preparedness is virtually nil. You need to work on it. And a year later, it didn't get any better.
Apparently not. I spent a week in Long Island for work about 2-3 years ago.
I was going to ask if that was on purpose.
Yeah, it was for work.
Was it in one night? I spent a week there one night.
No, but it was surprisingly very close to the city, so just a short freeway ride away.
And right at the beginning of the coverage on Sandy, there was some wondering whether this would hurt Obama's reelection bid or help him. And a lot of people are saying that because Governor Christie was so generous in his appreciation of what Obama and his administration did for New Jersey and the whole area there with the hurricane, they think that that really was a boost to Obama.
I think that's an excuse. I mean, I didn't hurt, that's for sure, for probably people that were trying to decide, maybe. But I don't know if there were any undeciders there at the end.
There was an article in this morning's SF Gate that said, I just read the headline, but it said basically Obama lost 800,000 votes because of Sandy, potentially. So that would, that's people who just didn't get to the polls for whatever reason.
So the logistics.
So the whole argument is nil then.
Yeah.
So
much.
it wasn't about whether votes were swayed. It was a matter of people not being able to get to their polling places.
And it's as much as I disagree with Governor Christie on just about everything. I thought it was a classy move on his part to appreciate what the federal government was doing after lambasting the federal government for spending too much money, and then oops, I need some money, guys.
Yeah.
But it was I thought it was very classy of him to be effusive in his gratefulness to the Obama administration, but also just be really, really and pointedly, and as what's the word I'm looking for, aggressive is not the right word, but anyway, he was aggressively
Ingratiated?
No, he was aggressively nonpartisan about the whole thing. Basically telling reporters this isn't about politics, and it's about saving people's lives. It's about helping people who are homeless and don't have power right now. And he gets really he was visibly agitated by the question whoever asked is this going to hurt or help Obama, and it's like, what are you talking about?
Well, that's really fantastic for him, and he's probably going to stay in office for quite a while now because of that, because he's transcended his own party. Do you believe how petty that is?
Oh, pettiness in the media isn't anything new. I mean, made me think of
Now there's pettiness in the Republican Party.
like in the Olympics, the Australian news media, when people get a silver or bronze, their question would be, well, how disappointed are you? Fuck off. I went to the Olympics. I medaled,
Yeah.
It's just crazy,
And I can't believe all of the finger pointing that Romney didn't win that's going on. It's incredible how they're infighting now.
Yeah, and it's all the Tea Party people who are doing the finger pointing when they should be pointing it to themselves. The Tea Party moved the Republicans so far to the right as to just turn off anybody who might have even thought of a smidge of possibly voting for Romney.
I don't know how my parents voted, but I called my dad and I said, so what did you think about Romney losing? He goes, we're actually planning on committing suicide. Oh, and but your mother's not here right now. I mean, he didn't even bat an eyelash. But I mean, he was funny about it. He's like, he couldn't care less, really.
Well, Tea Party aside, the one of my favorite post-election articles I read was about how Romney's campaign canceled the credit cards of their staffers in the middle of the night.
Yeah, that was classy.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, so people were leaving the campaign headquarters and taking cabs back to their hotel or to their homes, and their cards have been canceled in the time from when they were there at the event until the credit card didn't work for the cab.
Wow.
That's what you call a bad loser. I'm taking my toys. I'm going home.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm grateful to your staff.
Well, we don't know that Romney actually, approved that, but
it doesn't matter.
Somebody in his campaign.
It doesn't matter. He's responsible for everything that happens in his campaign.
The captain of the ship.
Yes, exactly. So, thank goodness it's over. I was just so thrilled. I came home on election day and had no mail. And then the day after, I had no mail. I didn't have to go immediately to the recycle bin and toss out all these freaking election things.
Oh, my God. So true.
And my email box is now completely not clogged.
And I have a buddy on Facebook who's just completely aghast. I'm thinking about leaving Facebook for a while. Yeah, right.
And then there was all the Republicans who were threatening to move to Australia.
Bye.
Well, it's like, really? You want to move to Australia because you're trying to escape this quote-unquote Muslim socialist administration?
Yeah. They have socialized medicine.
Socialized medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Their president is a woman, and she's an atheist. So you can get gay married there.
And they're part of a Commonwealth of Nations, so it's basically a global, socialist system. Thank you very much. Yeah, go ahead. Bye.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yeah.
Anyway. So we have the stress of the election left us just in time so we can get ready for the stresses of the holidays.
Yay!
Jingle bells.
You're out of time completely.
The whole hour?
Yep. Whole half hour.
Girl,
That's fine.
you cray-cray.
No.
You cry.
He's going to cut this, you motherfucker, and I'm going to cut you, okay?
All right. Yeah. Let's go to Backscratches.
Okie doke.
Cut me the part where I was going to cut him.
No, I'm going to leave that in.
Bitch. I'm going to cut you. Really? We're out of the whole half an hour?
Yep. We spend it all on elections and hurricanes and earthquakes and things that go shake, rattle, and roll.
Wow.
Well, that was fun.
It was fun.
All right. Well, let's do some Backscratches.
All righty.
Clay, you want to go?
I would like to backscratch all my friends who kept me up to date on the election on Facebook so that I didn't have to watch anything but the Comedy Central.
That's great.
Which was quite enjoyable. And I'd like to backscratch our very versatile guest who does a lot of things. In front of the camera, behind the camera, with a Black & Decker.
Wow.
No, And, it's always nice that the world is this small where, come to find out he was in the meeting here when Bill, my partner, was here for the Harrison. So it's a small...
There's only 10 of us.
Oh, that explains a lot.
There you go.
That explains a lot. Okay, Wolfie?
I'd like to thank John Ashfield for hosting an impromptu election get-together, as well as Urso and anyone else who was there, and John's wonderful husband, Greg. I'd also like to give a back scratch to Richard for appearing tonight. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Richard. This is Vito. I'd like to back scratch John and Greg for the Halloween party at the Multiverse. That was really awesome. I had a great time. And a new listener, Tim P. from San Diego. Another new listener, Michael Lane Heath. Oh, I said his last name. I hope that's all right. My neighbors for introducing me to the SF carpool. You know about that, Richard?
Yeah.
You pay $1 and you get to go across the bridge. It's incredible. You just meet strangers.
Which bridge?
Oh, the Bay Bridge.
You know there's a train that goes underneath the water.
That newfangled thing?
That gets you over to the East Bay.
Called the BART?
The BART.
Well, in Emeryville, where I live, there's a shuttle system, but it takes 10 to 15 minutes to get to the BART. It's free shuttle system to the BART. This, all I have to do is step out of my house, walk about 600 yards, and bam, people pick you up and they give them $1.
We're practically neighbors.
Yeah. Well, you were waking up from a nap when I saw you on BART last, so
That's usually the case.
I'm not surprised you don't remember.
If I'm not taking pictures of random BART hotties.
Other than that, thank you, listeners, and comment.
And 600 likes. Thank you very much for that. Big back
That's
scratch.
amazing. The voting should be started by now on the Complete Bear. So definitely vote for us for the best website and best podcast, if you agree with that, on the Complete Bear. And I'll have the link at bearelement.com.
And for those of you that don't agree, you'll find out what the opposite of a back scratch is.
Oh,
Scarlet! Scarlet! Okay, Richard, do you have anybody to back scratch?
I would like to back scratch the San Francisco Giants for making the postseason as stress-free as they possibly could. That was really nice. No torture this year. That was great. All my friends who put up with me. And my lovely husband, Cal, who
hi, Cal.
Who
has to live with me. So there you go.
And what's your dog's name? Eric?
Eric.
You want to say something to Eric, Scarlett? Tell him. That's about as close to a back scratch as you're going to get from this thing.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Thank you very much.
See you next Tuesday. Waka waka chow.
Visit us at bearelement.com.